Welcome guys, my name is Ronnie. This is my first tutorial on YouTube. This tutorial I will be explaining you how to carry out port forwarding with and without a router and when behind a NAT. It's network address translation or a firewall. So let's go ahead. Firstly, port forwarding is a way of making a computer or network accessible from the internet. It's commonly used in gaming, security cam setups, voice over internet protocols, sharing files, and mainly for hacking purposes when you're using reverse shells and several other purposes. After you have forwarded a port, it's said to be an open port on your network which can be accessed from outside. Now there are three conditions wherein the method is different if you want to do port forwarding. The three conditions are as follows: when you have a router which you can access, when you have a router which you cannot access, when you're behind a network address translation or a firewall, which is commonly the case in mobile networks. So I'll explain the first case wherein you are behind a router and can access that router. So basically you have to access the router interface. It's pretty simple, straightforward. Just go to network settings and find out what's your gateway. Like I have over here under network connections. So my gateway is 192.168.1.1. So if I access this interface, I'll reach the router interface. So from that interface I just log in with my credentials, and there will be either a section called port forwarding or in many places called as virtual servers, where you'll have to give the local address for where you want to port forward along with the port and the remote address. Like in this case, see in my router it's given as virtual servers. So I'm forwarding so and so ports like uTorrent from external port 5650 to my internal address 192.168.1, that is this PC right over here. So whatever connections coming onto my external IP address on port 5650 are being forwarded to this IP address and this port over here. That's it for that method, and you can test out your port connections with canyousseeme.com. I'll just explain it over here. Can you So over here you have an interface wherein you can enter the port to check or verify whether it is working or not, whether it is open. Now onto the second method, where you're behind a router and have no access to the router. For this case to satisfy, there has to be no NAT. Okay, you can use a very simple torrent client such as uTorrent to keep the required port open. Basically when you are using uTorrent and when you start downloads, a certain port is used for inbound and outbound connections. Right now that port becomes open to the outside when you can go in the preferences setting under connections and change this port to whatever you like. This is 234, let's say. Press apply. So this port will become open to the outside network. You can verify this by going over here and typing in 234. port was found to be open. This is how you can do port forwarding when you don't have access to your router. The third case is when you are behind a network address translation or firewall which you cannot access, which is commonly the case in mobile network internet services. Basically, a network address translation is a system which provides you a IP address required to represent an entire group of devices or computers to cover up for the shortage in the IP addresses worldwide. Presently, we've been using IPv4. It's going to exhaust soon. NAT is being employed to cover up the shortages. And in mobile networks, there's a huge number of customers, so a certain group is provided one single external IP address. In such cases, you are not able to access the NAT interface because it's on the ISP side. So the alternatives to this in the forwarder required port would be to use tunneling software such as ngrok, OpenPort, PageKite, and several others. I'll be discussing on ngrok, so let's go ahead. ngrok, download. Download for your appropriate OS. So I've already downloaded it, getting a box that's completed. Open it up, extract the executable to whichever folder to have reference. Open it up. ngrok HTTP service. I want to run it on port 8080. Now, just to confirm it's running, just try localhost 127.0.0.0.1 port 8080, and it's running. Let's go over here, session status online. It's forwarding the port 8080 to this domain address. So copy the domain address, open it in my browser. Yep, we'll try again, and it's working. You can also do this with OpenPort. This is their website, openport.io. Go under download section, download the appropriate version as per your OS. I already downloaded and installed this software, and here's the window that will appear once you run it. Go under OpenPort. Right now I'm forwarding port 8080. Click start, and my ABC's server is running on 8080, and I should get output something like this. ABC server currently running on system and runs up. So right now my 8080 is forwarded to my localhost. Copy link, paste it here, and yep, it's working. So this is another way you can do it, and stop, you don't need to forward. Thank you guys for watching.